Hey everyone, it's Adrian from Genie Magazine, and I'm here with Sara McDonald. So Sara, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We had a few technical difficulties getting on, so it's great to finally get a hold of you. I don't like pigeonholing and defining people, first off. And I think with the sounds that you're producing, I don't feel like I could do it justice. So could you describe, I guess, what you're doing at the moment and sort of what makes you stand out from, the usual pop music scene?
Well, I think I have probably the biggest band in the tri-state area, if not the world. So that definitely makes me stand out just because my group is very large, and I wouldn't consider it to be sort of, it's not typical pop music, it's not typical rock music. I'm trained in jazz. So obviously I get a lot of like my harmonies and arrangements, from my studies in jazz music. But for the most part, it's just totally, I wouldn't know how to categorize the sound. Lots of people say lots of different things and they're all very nice, and I am accepting of all of them.
It's a fairly unique sound. I think you wrote somewhere that one of your influences, I don't know how to pronounce her name, is it Bjork?
Bjork, yeah, or Björk, however people say it.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but I did get that sort of vibe. You said you had a very large band. How many is it?
It's 22 people. 22
people. So for people who don't know, can you describe what it's like having such a big band?
It's a lot of fun. It's also, I think at the beginning when I was getting started with like organizing all of it, it was time consuming and kind of intimidating because I was out of school and I didn't feel like I knew a lot of people, and also obviously musicians are going to be reluctant to dive into a new project when there's there's no like starting point, like nobody knows where it's coming from, nobody knows what the music is going to sound. Even I didn't know that either. So, but now it's great. I mean, everybody's friends. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's just a nice club of people. So
how did it start as well? Because if I'm reading correctly, it didn't start like as a plan. You had like a 5-year plan, and you said you're going to do this. Did it start off as like sort of like a fun or almost like a practical joke or a challenge to yourself?
It was totally a joke. Like I wish I could say very seriously that like I really meant to do this and I meant to like have this project forever.
That would sound cool.
But like I feel like all of my endeavors sort of I don't know, not all of my endeavors. That's a really broad generalization of myself. But and when it came to this, I had just finished a project. Like I used to have a rock band, and that wasn't happening anymore. And I kind of felt like I was in a rut as far as writing was concerned. And I was listening to a lot of like bigger, groups, and I wanted to arrange for something different. So I there were some different ideas with like different instrumentation, and then I kind of just thought, all right, like what's the most amount of people I could write for? And then I was like, okay, like I've for big band before, and I was like, well, I'd really love to have strings. Like I'll write for a string quartet. Like I'd never arranged for viola and all this stuff. Yeah. So I was just like, screw it, I'm just gonna do it. And I remember I like put in the finale file the first time to like arrange everything, and I was like, oh my god, it's too many people. There's no way I can do this. Yeah. And then I just kind of like dove into it and wound up loving it. And we were just supposed to have like one show because I had written some big band music, and then I don't know, it was so much fun. We just kept booking shows, and now here we are 2 years later.
Was it you just released the music video for Aubergine?
Yes, I guess back in September. Mm-hmm.
Back in September. I got to ask, I haven't been able to find this out yet. Why aubergine? And for my Australian viewers, we don't call them aubergines, we call them eggplants here in Australia. But
we call eggplants here too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Why aubergine? And like you got a tattoo of an aubergine as well, right?
Okay, so that was the first song I wrote and arranged specifically for this band, for this instrumentation. And it's such a stupid story. I was making pasta in Germany, and in Germany it's aubergine. That's also the French word for aubergine. It's from from Latin descent. Yeah. Is a Latin word. And I saw it on a can of pasta sauce, and I was like, that word is so beautiful. And the person I was with at the time was like, that literally just means eggplant. And I was like, well, I don't care. And I just kind of put it in as like a placeholder. Yeah. I was like, I don't have a title for this yet. I'm going to call it aubergine. And like that, that intro synth, whatever, is like so catchy. So it kind of just stuck and people ran with it. And then it's like, I was like the eggplant girl. And then I swear to God, like as soon as I wrote that song, it just started popping up everywhere. Now people are using the word aubergine, in place of eggplant, like on menus and stuff like that. There's like I think there's like a booking company called Blue Aubergine, or like a record label or something, and it just stuck forever. So I went back on tour last month, and I was like, I'm just gonna get this tattoo because it's like become so much. People like gift me eggplants. Like, I remember, when the album came out, people like brought eggplants like to the album release. There's a period of time, like after a photo shoot, I had like 100 eggplants in my house, and I don't even like eggplant.
I got to ask. I mean, so what do you? I saw some of the photos, like you're posing with eggplants, and there's eggplants like on the shelf in the background. So you don't actually like them.
Not really. I think they're difficult to cook. I don't know, and they're kind of like rubbery.
They
I
are.
have to be in the mood. Yeah, they're not my. They're fun to look at. Like, I think they're funny, but I don't really enjoy eating them that much.
Right. Can we backtrack a bit? And I was watching one of your other interviews, and it was mentioned that you were an army brat. Now, I'm not exactly sure what an army brat is outside of watching some Hollywood movies, and I don't think that's the best education when it comes to anything. So, what is the life of an army brat, and like how did that inform or guide you to where you are now?
Well, my dad was actually Navy. Sorry to have to correct you, but
Navy brat.
Navy, yeah, Navy baby, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I don't know. I think I was just talking to a friend about this the other day. How it didn't really dawn on me until later when we started like not living around. I mean, we weren't living on bases or living in communities that were like predominantly like military families. That other people didn't have that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like I kind of just assumed that everybody moved all the
Everyone
time
was the
and
same.
like,
Yeah.
Switched schools constantly. Right. So I mean, it probably. I think after I guess it was like kind of in high school, like the first time I moved, because my dad went to get his master's at the University of Illinois. Like the military will pay for you to like go get your master's of your choice. So we moved to the Midwest, and we'd always grown up like along the coast, or we'd just been living in Italy, and we moved like to the middle of a cornfield. And it, meeting these people who had lived in this small town their entire life, it was like the most culture shock I'd ever experienced.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, holy shit, like these people have been living in the same place and have known the same people forever.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine what that feels like. So for me, I just, I'm like totally getting away from the question, but I think
that's
just
fine.
being open to new stuff. Like I'm always willing to try new things. I'm always just like down to have cool experiences. Like I'm pretty easygoing. Like, moving all the time was great. Like I enjoyed that. Like I love meeting new people, which sounds like an eHarmony profile, but like,
Tinder profile these days.
Tinder profile.
But, you live in New York, come on. That's where it started, right?
I would never Tinder. But
Good.
Yeah, so like no, I mean, but seriously, like, so I was just like excited to try new stuff. Like I think people oftentimes be intimidated by new experiences, especially when it comes to music. Like people can be afraid to put themselves out there as far as like trying new things. And for me, it was just kind of like, well, like if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Like on to the next whatever, But I usually, once I like really dig my heels into something, I work very hard to make it
work. Where did the music start? Did it start really early on? Did it come later on as sort of something that you hadn't tried before? Or how did the music start?
Maybe for this project, or just like me as a musician?
Just in general, the musician's journey.
Well, my parents are both classical musicians. So my dad was actually in the Navy music program. He was the player and then a conductor, and my mom was a French horn player and a pianist. And so we all did music. Like I have two younger siblings, and they both play. My sister's in the Navy now. My brother's still in high school, but we all played, and I took years of piano. I also did like 7 or 8 years of classical French horn, and then I didn't really get into jazz until high school. I just like auditioned for jazz band on a whim. And I remember my parents were like, okay, like if you want to do that, fine. And then, and I always did musicals. I actually like that before anything else. I think I was in my first like dinner theater production when I was like 6 or something. But but it really stick. I'm not like a theater person. But yeah, so then like writing music didn't happen until I got to college after studying for a while, and then that's pretty much it. It's just been like a constant thing all while doing other things as well.
Yeah.
And now it is a thing. Yeah.
Sure. If someone is interested in becoming a musician, I mean, it sounds like your journey was I'll not say it's not planned, but it certainly sounded like it's organic. It wasn't like you had a clear vision straight up. How would you advise someone who's, I guess, maybe in high school still and they want to become a successful musician? What's the best advice you could give them?
Don't lie to yourself. Like, if you really want to do it, like, if it's really, really, like, if it's undeniable, which it always was for me. Like, I remember being in high school just being like, I cannot wait to get to a conservatory and only do music. And then when that happened, it was it was the most natural thing in the world for me. It was
Right.
like I'd been denied like, right to do this one thing that I wanted to so badly for so long, and I was like I forced to do other things, and like I did well in school. I just like,
Yeah.
It was just sort of like this build up. If that's really how you're feeling and it feels like you can't possibly imagine doing anything else, then like you really have to pursue it, because you get out of it what you put in. If you don't practice, if you're not really like, if you're not living it every second of every day, it's not going to work out. So if you really feel like this is something you have to do, then do it. Like, do your research, figure out what needs to be accomplished, like look up schools, like study best people, go well out of your way to work with people that are important to you, and also like, research the music that you say is important to you, stuff like that. Like you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're coming from. So
Sure.
yeah, just be with yourself, I guess.
I think that's a good piece of advice. Now, would I be right in saying that you've had some sort of setbacks during your journey as a musician, that it hasn't just been one straight line to success?
Oh, of course. It's going to be, there have been so many times where I've just felt miserable, and like, I wouldn't say that I doubt it. I don't doubt that I'm doing the right thing, but there are times where it's like it's hard, because it sort of feels like an unrequited love. Like you're pushing so hard for something, and it's like really pushing back, and you're like, okay, well, I can't do anything else. I don't want to do anything else. I can't imagine doing anything else. It's like, so what can I do to improve the situation? And try not to like sulk. But yeah, for sure, there have been so many times where bad things happen, or it's like projects fall through, like I miss out on funding, I don't get grants or whatever. It's like, I send like 100 emails a day just trying to like get people to pay attention, and trying to book stuff. Tours fall through. That's been really upsetting, or
whole tours.
I had a whole tour fall through one time, and it got rescheduled and eventually, but that, something like that is really upsetting. Having like a band breakup or something like that, people that you really were working hard with, like that, that's encouraging, of course. And also just with me, it's like, I think I've been told no so many times, and also like dealing with a band of this size and like having to organize everything. Like I have really thick skin when it comes to, at least now. That took a while to build up, but now it's sort of like, sometimes I'll be looking for a musician up until the last minute, and it's just like, well, I'm not gonna play with 3 trombones. Like I'm gonna play with 4. Like that's my instrumentation. So, or like losing out on competitions. Like you think you've got it in the bag, and then it just doesn't work out. Like, it is what it is.
How do you deal with those setbacks? Because I asked, if someone wants to be a successful musician, what to do, and I assume that having setbacks is going to be, par for the course sort of thing. How do you? You said you've got thick skin now. How would you say, what's the best way to deal with those setbacks? Some of them you mentioned are huge. So how do you deal with them?
You're allowed to be sad.
Yeah.
Wine helps. No.
Wine and aubergine with the pasta.
Wine, yeah. I don't know, just like it has to happen enough times. Like, at first it kind of feels like, I remember the first couple times, like some bad stuff happened. I was like, oh my God, the world is ending. And then you have to just like collect yourself and, like just create new opportunities for yourself, find new ways to get your product out there, and just do what you love to do. Like at the end of the day, you love making music. Okay, so like how can you continue to keep making music? Like what's another thing you can do? And sometimes if I'm hitting roadblocks, even now, after I've done a lot of stuff that some people will not ever get to do in their careers that I'm extremely grateful for. It's like, I'm like, okay, well, how do I do even more? How do I accomplish more? Like, what can I do that's better than this? What's the next thing? And sometimes it's okay to like be at a plateau for a while. It's like, okay, you're not ready to like reach the next level. You have to do this. Like every piece of your career like has a length. However long it is for each. It's different for everybody. It's not a race. It's like what you're doing and how long it takes to accomplish this or that. So, and I just try to stay optimistic, or I research everything that I can. I'm like, what can I do? Like, what will be different? What can I do with this project? Where can we play? Like, who would be interested in this? And it's constant. Like every day I'm just like, glued to my phone for a few hours, like looking up different things that I think would be good for us and appropriate for us. Like, who can we collaborate with? All this stuff. You just have to be creative. You can't just be like, well, it all starts from somewhere. Like in the beginning, it's like, I want to play a show. So then you like work really hard to play your first show. It's like, okay, I want to record a record. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? Then you record your record, and it's like, okay, like I want I want to do this. I want to play bigger venues. Like I want to go on tour. It's like this is also, everything is, you're always like working towards the next goal.
Yeah, it sounds like it's constantly evolving.
Always. Hopefully it's evolving, yes.
Always moving forward. I just wanted to touch, because I realized this. So you've played at multiple jazz festivals. You've won a couple of very prestigious awards. I think at this stage, my question to you is, do you feel that you are successful? Do you feel that you've made it? Or are you hungrier now than before? I mean, a lot of people watching this will go, oh my God, with what you've done, you've got a music video out. I want to be you. I want to be as successful as you. I'm just curious to know, how successful do you feel that you've been in the industry?
I think I've been out of school for 3 years, and I've, played lots of festivals. I've toured overseas. I've won awards, and I have an album out, but I'm definitely not like nearly as successful as I could be or that I hope to be. And I don't think like ridiculous amounts of fame and fortune will, possibly ever be in my future, especially as a jazz musician. It's kind of, you're really just like fighting until the end. Like we don't get pensions. So, and I'm fine with working forever. And that's what I want to do. I want to be playing on the road. I want to, that's like, you have to really want to be doing those things. Like you're not going to, unless you want to teach or something, that's something entirely different. But, I think that I have found success, and I'm grateful for that success, and I hope to have more in the future. I have planning a lot of stuff for next year, but even then it's like I'm always thinking, like now I'm definitely thinking like 2 to 5 years in the future at all times. I'm like, okay, how can I do this so I can be here at this point? Now there is sort of a trajectory that I'm trying to like follow. But stuff always happens, like even when I'm like in a rut, or if I feel like things are about to go a certain way, something else always comes along, like every time without fail. So whether it be good or bad, most of the time it's usually good, and I'm like, oh, that's surprising. Like I didn't foresee that happening, but that's just how it works.
What's the most fulfilling part of what you do? Or the most gratifying part?
Most gratifying part. Hearing your work realized, for sure. I love playing live. I know a lot of people, there are some people that really like, being in the studio. Different things work for different people, but for me, like getting to play with a band of that size live and just like have everything come together, because I think about every single part that I write, and, I think about how it's going to sound, and it's like going from that to like the piano to finale and listening to that horrible MIDI playback and like trying to get an idea of like what the drum is going to sound like, under this like accordion saxophone noise, and just being like, God, like I hope this is cool, and then having it performed finally, like after rehearsing it, it's just like, that's the best, because it's just so much work from like that original thought to like putting it on stage.
Where do you start when you have that many parts to write for? I mean, do you write for one first? Do you have an idea as to like the whole thing, and then you start doing the parts? Like, where do you start with something that huge?
It always depends. Usually I have like probably a million like voice recordings in my phone of just like ideas, like me like drunk in the back of a cab just like singing this thing that I think I'm hearing. And I'm not even joking, but
the best art comes from
like
that.
One idea. Totally, yeah. Just like if anybody ever found my phone, I would be mortified. But it's usually like one idea, like a sort of just like a motif or something like that. Like I'm hearing this one thing over and over. Okay, and sometimes it's like a vocal line. Sometimes I know it's gonna be for piano. I know it's gonna be for horns or whatever it is. And usually like after that, I focus on that for a long time, like, or even if it's just like a harmony, like a set of chords, like hitting like a progression of chords. And then I start to just like, once I start writing, I just start hearing everything else. And I usually have to like cut back. I'll hear a bunch of different parts, different sections, and it's like, what are the strongest parts? Like what makes the most sense to support the vocal line, whatever, or like what needs to be at the forefront. I mean, it just like, there's always like one small starting point, and then things just like build off of that forever.
And how long if you take Aubergine as an example, how long does the writing process take from beginning to end?
It totally depends. I have a couple songs that I have written and arranged in like a day, which I like. Wow. Sometimes I don't even happened, but and then there are some that take me months just because, and I think now as time goes on, like they do take a lot longer. I think my arrangements are a lot more involved, and I get, I want everything, like I know I can push myself to like do the best work that I can. So it's like if I do something, I'm like, if it doesn't feel strong, if I'm not like totally committed to it, I'm like, okay, I can do better, and like maybe I just need to take some time and like really think about where this needs to go. So it depends, but most of the stuff really has been like a couple months.
Sure. I've asked you what the most fulfilling part is. What's the most challenging part of what you do? And also, I guess I want to ask, being a female in the industry, do you feel that there are any unique challenges to being a young woman trying to make it versus a young man?
Yeah, I mean, like I generally like I hate that even has to be a question. But,
yeah, me too.
But it does. Yeah, it sucks, but it's nobody's fault. Yeah, I mean, like, I think the biggest thing that bothers me, I mean, aside from like, having to promote your own shows, I really like, I hate doing stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God, come out, it's like, that's annoying. But,
sure, I understand.
But that's annoying for everybody. For guys, I mean, as a woman, I think there was, a long period of time where people would like question like who's doing my arrangements, and if I'm like, they're like, did you really arrange that yourself? I'm like, yes. What like I went to music school.
Wow.
Like what kind of question is that? And from time to time I still get that, and I'm like really vocal about it, especially when I'm on tour. I'm like, I'm like, don't ask, like I really like, this is all me, like nobody sees these, nobody touches these, like before like charts come out, and that would bother me. And I think with guys, especially, men who have big bands, maybe they are getting asked that, and like people are going to give me shit for saying this, but I think for the most part, like people just don't question it. Like it's a guy leading a big band, like of course he's like that's his project, whatever. And that's the only time, like especially from my peers, like people in my band, nobody ever questions stuff like that. Nobody ever gives me shit. Like I have a really supportive group of musicians that I work with, and I never feel like any gender biases or anything like that. Like I don't experience like people don't give me a hard time being a girl. Like that really doesn't exist. And I've heard stories about that happening to other people, and like that sucks. And maybe in the beginning when I was in school, and I'm not recalling like situations, where guys were vibey. I mean, definitely, actually, I can think about that. Like in class, like people just have a chip on their sholdder, whatever. Yeah. But as far as like working as a musician, no, I feel respected, and I feel like I show people respect. But mostly just the like arrangement thing. I think people are, it's like, oh my God, it's like you really did that. I'm like, oh my God, yeah.
Sure.
Like I don't want to have that conversation. It's like I shouldn't have to have that conversation.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that you haven't had a huge experience with it, but it certainly sounds like you've had some dealings with it, which I think is happening in every industry, which is a shame. If people, Sarah, wanted to contact you or check out your sounds, what's the best place to go to?
Well, you can go to our Facebook page, just the NYChillharmonic, or we have our Bandcamp. Technically the album is outish. I just haven't done a commercial release for it yet, which is that'll be happening next week. So you can hear. I mean, we're on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. If you just type in the NYChillharmonic, nobody else has that name, I promise.
Sure.
And it's NYC, and then the rest of the Chillharmonic words. So there's no double C. NYChillharmonic. Yeah.
I'll subtitle it below, and I'll link it up, so it'll all be good. So just to clarify, when is the new album out, or is it out now?
I kind of sort of released it like twice, but it's the. Well, I played a really big festival like over a year ago, like a year and a half ago now, and like brought like 3 songs that we had already mastered just to sell because I needed to have something. But so we sold some physical copies of it already, but it's it'll be on Spotify and all that other good stuff that people use to stream music for free. On the 4th, I believe. Yes.
On the 4th.
This month, so that's Friday. Right? Yeah, it's Friday.
Yes.
Okay.
Time's moving fast. On the 4th of November, we'll find it. The festival that you mentioned, I'm sure I'm going to butcher the name, but is it the Moors? The
Moors?
Moors, thank you. The Moors Festival. Can you tell people what it was like? Because that was an extended festival, if I read correctly. I mean, what was it like being on tour and getting to perform your art in front of that many people?
Well, that was like my first time really playing a stage like that.
Right.
And I just kind of got really lucky. Like the festival director came to one of my shows in Brooklyn, and sent me a message like through my Bandcamp, and I thought it was a joke. He was like, "Yeah, I want you to come play this festival in Germany." I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, man."
Yeah, sure.
And then he was like, "No, months," and I was like, "Oh, for real?" So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I like literally just like quit my job and like went to play this festival. Yeah, I was young, and I think that like, you know, I wish it could be happening now because my sound was like definitely not as well like developed as it is now, and also like but I think it was good that it happened when it did, because it like really just sort of like turned me into like a very efficient musician. Like it really forced me to get my shit together. It really forced me to like be more confident when presenting this material, because I think for a long time, even on stage, like videos from the beginning, like I'm timid because I'm like intimidated by what's happening behind me. Yeah. And now it's a totally different animal for sure. So I'm glad that, I mean, that kind of just like pushed me over this hump. Like it really, it made me just better. But yeah, it was intimidating because I'm not going to say that I wasn't nervous. I like flew out there on like the longest flight ever. I had to like fly through Istanbul, which is like such a mistake, just lengthwise. Right. Okay. And just to clarify, it was like a super long flight. Yeah, and I like immediately like went into a rehearsal with the Cologne University big band. And it was like, you know, kids my age, so I don't know what they were expecting like before I showed up, but I walked in, they were like, who are you? I was like, I'm Sarah, like let's do this, you know. And a lot of them like didn't speak English. I mean, everybody speaks English over there, but it was like, you know, there were definitely some language barrier issues at first, and it was like I had to just like be really peppy after flying for like 20 hours and you know, conduct this band. Yeah, it was that. I was like, my heart was like palpitating the whole time. Nice. And then yeah, it felt great. And then we had like a couple more rehearsals, and then it's like, you know, I'm not there with anybody. Like I don't, like everybody there at the Morris Festival is like really established and like has, you know, tour managers or whatever, like people that are there representing them, like taking care of all the logistical stuff of their trip. It's just like me, like this 23-year-old, just like idiot, you know, like coming to play this massive festival with this giant band of people that I just met. And, you know, obviously they can't afford to bring out 21 other people to support me. So it's like, you know, they set it all up for me. Like they got me this band, like the festival director knew the teacher there at the school, and they got musicians together, and like, that's like amazing. I can't believe that they did that for me. And then after that, you know, other bands in Germany heard of me. So I actually was just on tour recently. I got back like almost a month ago now. And I was on tour for the last month with like an established big band from Munich. But yeah, so the Morris was crazy, and now I've done a couple other things like that, and it's very different. Like not different, but I'm not scared anymore, which is like sort of sad, because I really enjoyed like being that nervous. I was like so alert, and like also kind of like anxiety blacking out. And now it's, you know, when I do it, it's like almost not the same thrill, which is sad. Adrenaline but like junkie. I'm still obviously happy. Yeah, totally. It's like I'll never reach that high again. You know, of like being like terrified. Maybe you can just add more instruments into your band. I don't know, or completely chop, you know, go a different direction. Right, I need like aerial performers or something, like doing acrobatics the entire time I play, and like flamethrowers. Yeah, I think that's what I need next. Just like build it up, just more of everything. But I mean, it sounds like, I don't know, validation is the right word, but I mean, you went over there with these established musicians and you performed with them and you've had follow-up tours. So, and now it sounds like you're more comfortable with it, but it almost sounds like you miss the thrill of pushing that boundary, pushing the frontiers. Gosh, because it was just like, it was so new. Like everything about it was new. We'd only been a band for like not even like a year, you know, back in New York, and you know, we've played like maybe 10 shows, and it's like I barely had like enough music to cover like a 50-minute set, you know, like I was just so new to it. So it was, the whole thing was like, it's just like terrifying for me, but it was good that it was terrifying because it forced me to work really hard and just like make sure that all my charts were together and make sure like I knew what was happening. And and no, I mean, like, I guess I like the newness of things for sure, but I prefer it now because I can walk into any situation with new musicians and feel very comfortable and like know how to conduct my band and know what to tell them, and it's, you know, it's like a well-oiled machine now versus like me just being like, I don't know. And like, which is not, you don't want that as a band leader. Like you have to like reassure everyone else, so you can't be terrified all the time. You gotta have it all together. Now it's crazy. Right, exactly. So I wouldn't have it any other way. So in that case, where do you want to see yourself in a year or 2 years, 5 years, God forbid, 10 years? Do you have any idea where you want to be, or is it just a question of, I'm going to do this, whatever comes up, I'll do that, then I'll handle this? Yeah, 10 years, death. No. In a year, no, I'm just kidding. I have stuff planned through next fall, which is good. And that's usually how it works with like a band of this size. I need things kind of like, especially for bigger shows. I mean, like bigger venues and like festivals always book like a year out. And after that, hopefully more tours. I'm hoping to be touring a lot next year. I should tour more in the United States. I definitely want to do that. I'm going to try to do that this summer.
Yep.
And then continue that. Hopefully get signed finally to a nice jazz label.
Oh, you're not signed?
Whatever.
Right. Okay.
I'm not.
So you released your album independently by yourself?
Yes, I did.
Wow. Okay.
Don't have a manager. I just have, so all of that would be nice. Basically, work will just kind of like lighten my load because it's a lot, and I don't have a booking manager or anything like that. And like that's why sometimes I'm always like surprised that things happen to work out. But yeah, it would be nice. It's a lot of logistical work just for me, especially with like all the writing and arranging. Obviously, I would love to just be able to focus on writing and arranging and having my band, and then have somebody else that could do all the that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Not that I don't love writing like 100 emails a day. Like I feel like I need to get glasses actually, just because I'm like glued to a screen constantly.
Yeah.
But so that's like at first that was really fun. It's like like booking stuff. But now I know what I'm capable of, and I need just reaching a point where all the things that I'm doing, like work, can be delegated.
Yeah.
That would be nice. That's what I want for the future. Continue to play bigger shows. Continue to just like grow our audience, like reach more people and just play. I like to be on the road. I like to play. That's it. Record more. Have someone give me money to record. That would be nice.
I think that's every musician's dream, isn't it? To not have to go hand to hand and go, oh my god, I have no money. I better record something and release something. Otherwise, I have nothing to eat. So I think that makes perfect sense. Okay, let's go to the wrap up. I got 10 questions for you here. So just Q&A, and whatever comes to mind is great. So number 1, what's your favorite word?
My favorite word? Ooh, caustic. Caustic. It means like sharp and biting. That's a great word.
Yep. I can see where that comes from. What about number 2? What's your least favorite word?
Moist.
Oh my god.
Is that what the other person said too? I think every girl hates the word moist. I'm going to be
One of my first interviews, I asked her what her favorite word was, and she said that because of the reaction it gets from everyone.
That's twisted. Oh my god. No, I hate that word. It's so like no. Just no. Put it down.
I never thought I would hear that answer again. I gotta be honest. I feel like I've come full circle.
Favorite word? That's so morbid. Okay, all right, whatever.
Number 3. What sound or noise do you love?
Children's laughter. No, I'm totally joking. Wow, no one's ever asked me that question before. What sound or noise do I like? Sound of like a train far away. That's really nice.
Oh,
like
nice.
like where I lived in the Midwest, there was a train track like far from our old house, and it was like old trains would go by. It sounded cool. It was very soothing.
Nice. Probably unless you're actually trying to record something, I imagine.
That's true. Yeah, but it was like if it happened like at night, I don't know, you get this like super spooky, far away feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about what sound or noise do you hate?
I hate so many things. It's like really hard to choose just one.
Just pick one.
Oh my god. Sorry. Just pick one. Like my hedgehog, like making so much noise in the middle of the night because they burrow and they're nocturnal. And he's so loud. He's like sleeping all day. And then he just like, I don't know, he was like burrowing so loud last night. I was like, I can't sleep. Sorry, that's a weird one. But it drives me nuts. And he like makes these weird noises. But I love him. I don't know.
That's a different answer.
Okay,
What about what turns you on?
What turns me on?
Mm-hmm.
Like in a person or just like...
Just in general.
I don't... Just in general.
It could be like creatively, intellectually.
Creatively and intellectually. People that have like a really good sense of humor, and like not taking yourself too seriously, like in any kind of situation, like as far as friends are concerned, whatever, or just like people that you work with, people that are like can be professional and take things serious, and like take the music seriously and like treat everything with respect, but also just be laid back. Like nobody needs to be like uptight and anal all the time. That's just not necessary.
How would you describe your sense of humor? I'm just curious.
Off-putting. No, I don't know. It just like depends on the person. You'd have to ask my friends. Probably like a little bit too sarcastic. Like I think I probably most of the time I get along with just about everybody, but then there's there's always that one person who's just not into it, like they're just not having it, and that's fine. It's rare that happens, I think. I don't know, I guess they wouldn't tell me to my face, because a lot of people, I have no idea, but
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know, it just like dry, funny, like self-deprecating. How about that?
That's a very mature way of describing it. What about what turns you off? We've done what turns you on. What turns you off?
Just like egotism, like somebody just like thinking they're hot shit and then they're just not. Like I don't have time for that. Or like in any kind of context. Like that's,
okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Period. That's it.
Do you feel like you deal a lot with that in the industry, or is it just where you are, people you meet generally? Because I would imagine there's got to be a certain amount of ego to succeed in what you're doing, because it's very competitive.
I'd say confidence and egotism are two very different things.
Yes.
So I think being confident and there, I guess there's a thin line between the two, and you have to work hard to not like just be a pompous asshole all the time. So, well, hopefully you don't have to work that hard, but, no, sometimes, and it's rare. Like I'm fortunate enough that like the people I work with are not egotistical. Yeah. They're all like, I think that they're humble and they're all there, like, supporting my vision. So obviously, like, they're not there to like be superstars. So, for the time being, they all obviously do amazing, like other things. They're all involved with different projects and all like extremely successful people, but when they come together for me, it's like, I don't like write features and stuff like that. So they're not there to like show off.
Yeah.
But, God, I hope that doesn't get like taken the wrong way. Like I love all of them, but no, I mean I'm just sometimes I guess it's rare, but like it's obvious when you encounter someone they just like have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I do too much. I mean maybe it's just the scene that I'm in. Like there are a bunch of different scenes in New York, and so fortunately I don't encounter it that often.
Right.
But yeah, from time to time I'll meet someone and I'm like, oh okay, like I don't ever really need to spend any more time with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it happens.
Favorite question, number 7. What is your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word, all of them. No, the bad ones. I mean, I say they're all bad, I guess. I don't know. Do I have a favorite curse word?
So many to choose from.
I guess it's like a name I would call someone, like ass. Like that's like yo ass. Like if someone's just being a ass, like just stop. I don't know. How about that?
That's a unique and original answer. I love it. Okay, number 8. What profession other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Oh my God. Well, my sister is actually, I mean, if I had like a stronger stomach, she actually just got selected for pilot in the Navy. So she could be flying jets. Yeah, she's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully, and she has a couple friends that have like worked for SpaceX and NASA. And I remember when I was a kid, like all I wanted to do was work for NASA someday.
Yeah.
And my dad did astronomy. He like built telescopes. So we talk about that. I mean, I love astronomy and I love the sciences. And if I were going to do anything else, if I had like the mental capacity to do anything else, I would totally love to just like, I don't know, be an astronaut. How about that?
Sure, that sounds good. What about what profession other than your own would you not like to attempt?
I don't know, being someone who like goes, those people that like go into the forest and they like photograph like giant like woodland spiders and shit like that. If I could like take pictures of like geysers and like mountains and stuff, that'd be great. Sounds like a really good time. Yeah. But yeah, like stuff with, I don't know, like having to work with like insects or something. There's probably a very specific name for people that do that. No, actually, insects are fine. It's really just spiders. Like, I remember reading, I like to just, like, torture myself. I mean, you live in Australia, so, like, there are so many spiders there. But, which is, like, part of the reason why I'm never coming to visit. But,
I could tell you some stories, believe me.
No, I just saw that video of, like, the huntsman, like, dragging that mouse. Did you see that? The huntsman spider dragging a mouse, like, with its...
That's something I really don't need to see.
Oh, my God. don't, but it's like, you know, people are always like, face your fears. So I like read all these articles about spiders and like watch videos just to like torture myself. And it like makes my skin crawl. I have like an annual nightmare about tarantulas like attacking me.
I'm glad to hear that it's dependable. Like once a year. Last question. If God exists, what would you like to hear him or her say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Like, is this it? I don't know. What would I like to hear them say? That there is life elsewhere. I don't know.
Or you
something.
Mean like
I don't know why they would know, like aliens or some. I don't know. I don't believe in God. But I guess I wish I would just want more answers. I'd be like, so what's up with the universe? Like there's other shit out there, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, like this isn't.
Sounds like you'd like to have an intellectual discussion with the Almighty over a glass of wine or something like that.
That'd be nice. Yeah, for sure. No, I don't know. Just what was I going to say? I don't know. It's like, is the Big Bang Theory real? It's like, is that really how this all happened? It seems kind of silly, but yeah, I don't know. Stuff like that.
Sounds great to me. Sounds like you have a lot of questions that he needs to answer for you.
Yes, I suppose. I should have said something funnier. Oh well, it's too late now.
It's one of the harder questions. Look, Sarah, thank you so much for your time. It's been great chatting to you, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you everyone for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.